All right, welcome traders. Let's jump into the Wednesday, October 11, 2023 trade recap, market recap. Let's jump into the markets and then we'll come back and take a look at the account here. What happened in the markets yesterday? Another decent up day in the markets. Opened down fractionally and then finished the day higher. So as we take a look at SPY here, Mark jumped down, hit the 21 moving average, bumped back up, back into this gap fill area here. So we're still trying to fill this gap, which runs all the way up to here about 438 or so on SPY. Again, we went back to the 50 moving average, couldn't break it. We'll see if the momentum continues on the Thursday trading session in the markets. However, good looking daily with MACD breaking MACD breaking positive and running higher strongly. You got RSI breaking the 50 line, and we're going to actually put that line in on here. So let's do that really quickly, because I like to keep track of where that is at all times. Helps us, I think, evaluate the trades that we have on. So we're going to make that a 1 wide. We're going to make it exactly 50, and we're not going to show anything here. So boom, there. So that gives us a little bit of a midline here on the RSI. So when we break through the 50, that's a very, in my opinion, very bullish, or if we're breaking down, a very bearish indication. If we take a look at the weekly chart, we've broke down through the 50, so momentum was definitely heading down, and then made this quick U-turn back up, and MACD's trying to move higher. So overall, a little bit of a good bullish move. Let's see what happens. But you've got RSI still in a overall downward trend. We'll see if the momentum can continue. On the daily, it looks solid. On the weekly, kind of now in a little bit of a neutral-ish, because we had a downtrend going solidly, and now starting to reverse a bit. But one change in MACD here during the week here is not going to make or break anything. However, we'll keep an eye on this. If we can run back up to the top of this channel, then we'll see what happens in SPY. Right now, it doesn't change really anything that we're doing. We've got great positions on. We've had great couple days in trading, and I like the direction we're going. So if we take a look at the Qs, same type of thing in the Qs. MACD, RSI moving higher. I'm going to put that 50 mark on here as well. So we're going to put the 50 line in, which we have on a bunch of our tickers, but not on all of them. And I like to have it not so wide. So there's where we are. So breaking again above the 50, moving higher, almost to 60. MACD definitely moving higher. So tech looks really, really good in here. We'll see if it continues to move in that direction. One thing of note is that we are at this downtrend line that we've established here over the last really 6-7 weeks or so. If we break above that, very bullish looking opportunity here. But as opposed to SPY on the Qs, MACD, this is the second week of moving higher. We came down, didn't quite cross through the 50, and have been moving higher on RSI as well. So techs look pretty good overall. Looks stronger than overall SPY does. So the Qs looking pretty strong. And then IWM, we had a little bit of a down session on the day yesterday. So we opened at 176, closed at 175 on the session. Pretty much just a neutral day. MACD and RSI trying to climb higher, but they're not quite there yet. And we'll do the same thing here. Let me just drop this in really quick. Sorry to do this while I'm in the middle of a session with you guys, but I think it helps clear up a little bit of what we look at here when we're making some decisions as far as momentum. I'm much more of a trending momentum type of trader, reversal trader, than I am breakouts or specific levels. So on the IWM, we're coming from an oversold region. We've been moving higher. We have not broken the 50, And yesterday we kind of weakened a bit. The weekly, again, it's been in a downtrend. One session's not going to make a huge difference in this for 1 week. So we have to see what's going to happen really next week. So we got to give it another week on IWM, but decent move off the bottom, back up. Everything is struggling with this 21 moving average right now. Let's see if we can get through it on Thursday in trading. If we look at the S&P 500 percentage of stocks that are above their 50-day moving average, here we see, the momentum's definitely been up. We've moved from this very oversold 7% zone down here all the way up to about 31% in 5 sessions. So definitely some decent recovery on the S&P 500 stocks. We are no longer oversold, but this was a really good indicator that, hey, you could bounce here, 3 ATR, 7%. Actually got down as low as 6%. You don't get a whole lot lower than that. I mean, you can get to 0, but that's only happened twice in the last year and a half or so. So this was as oversold as we've seen in a long time. So a definite bounce was due. No shock there. And if we take a quick look at the chart, let's look at the put-call ratio. And I'm just going to take a quick look at the put-call ratio, throwing a 10 moving average on there. You can see that the puts had gotten extremely overdone here on 10.4. We use these two price levels of 0.7 and 1. When you get above or below, those are typically extreme readings. We take a look at the S&P down here. So as we're watching the S&P, you can see right here when we got the 10 moving average is overextended and started to curl. That's where we started to get a pretty good move on that. So let's improve the way this looks as well. So there, that may make a little more sense if we're looking at it. So when you get down here where the put-call ratio, in my opinion, is oversold, and we've got way more calls than puts, and you're down here, okay, that's where we supposedly will start to reverse lower, and that's really, as soon as we crossed back in here, that was a sign that the market was dropping. So we use this a little bit, just gives me a sense of oversold number of puts, oversold number of calls, and then when we start to reverse and head the other way, you get a good idea of market direction. You can see here as this put started to increase, here market was decreasing until we got to this really over bought level on the put side and started to reverse. Now we're starting to go the opposite way. Good area for a bounce. You can see lots of opportunities happen. Doesn't always work that way. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. That's just one way of looking at some things. It doesn't work every time. All right, VIX dropped again down to under 16. The dollar on the day dropped on the session. TLT on the day did jump on the session decently. So pretty good update on TLT. This has been a good oversold bounce, absolutely. So it's almost a V bottom here on TLT. It's bouncing. I've been playing with ZB a little bit on this particular bounce. I'm not getting crazy all in on TLT, but we've definitely started to see some improvement here. Now, we've seen this picture before and things started to tip over. So until we really get above this 21 and maybe a little bit of a pullback and turn, right now, everything is still pointing down, but putting in a little decent bottom here. Inflation numbers running high, and rates are definitely coming off of their highs as well. So you can see we've had 2 really solid down sessions on rates. So we're going to see where that 10-year goes, but it's come all the way down to the 21 EMA. RSI, MACD have been falling. Crossover on MACD here, flipping over a tad. One session doesn't make it here. Now, do you expect that the Fed is going to raise rates one more time? Do you think they're going to hold those rates for a while. Just because these TNX is rolling over a bit here doesn't mean that it's headed straight lower, but a pretty good sign. So as rates are dropping, the market is definitely improving. TLT is getting a little healthier down here. Let's see if it can put in a decent little bottom. We looked here for a double bottom. We didn't get it. It broke through it. So we really don't have anything else here except just waiting for some technical improvements, which we are seeing on the daily. We might be seeing those technical improvements because, again, we have been very oversold on the weekly. So this is not a bad spot. I just didn't want to get in during this entire fall here. And we'll watch these downtrend lines as well. So as soon as the market can get close to these or we start to break, I mean, I think we have a lot of pent-up demand, but I just don't see a huge catalyst to run magnificently higher if rates aren't going to drop for quite a while. So I'm not going to start just stashing money in TLT. I will keep playing, though, naked puts on ZB futures. And that's the way we've been playing it. We closed a winner yesterday on that. We'll keep playing those in here until we see the market going higher. Then maybe we can put on some kind of a long trade. Right now, I think it's a great short put opportunity. So a great naked put selling opportunity potentially on the ZB. So Aussie dollar really didn't do a whole lot of anything yesterday. Was down on the session. British pound up on the session fractionally. Canadian dollar down on the session. Euro up on the session yesterday. So it's kind of a mixed Forex bag because the dollar here had dropped a bit. We expect a little bit better, but it's all good. Oil on the session yesterday. So if we look at oil, pretty good down session again. So we have erased basically the entire gap up here. That gap was completely filled yesterday, which means we can now either resume the downtrend or start a new uptrend. Who knows what? I absolutely expected that move to happen. And now let's see where we go. What we're seeing here on the weekly is continued downward pressure on MACD. RSI did not break that 50, starting to bounce a little here. So we'll keep an eye on it. Is this a temporary bounce? Is this just some consolidation in here? We'll keep an eye on oil. This is probably our favorite underlying to trade. So we'll really keep an eye on this. It doesn't matter really where you draw some of these lines. Oil is in a pretty tight triangle range here. It almost looks dumb to even draw this right now. So let's keep an eye on it. It's consolidating, squeezing tighter overall. This might be a little steep here, but it's actually a true line. So we'll see what happens. I can hit a few more lines. Maybe if we back it down here, now it hits a lot more of the tops. But either way, we'll see what happens here on oil as we continue to consolidate. MACD trying to improve, not above the 50, but moving higher. So we'll see. But pretty good down day yesterday, filling that gap that we had. So the gap is filled. I would expect potentially more sideways to downward action. But you've got a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East right now. Let's see what happens. You've got Israel amassing on that Gaza border, getting ready to go in. And probably nothing good going to happen from there. Let's see if they can wipe out Hamas or something like that without taking too many civilian lives. Terrible situation over there. You got Hezbollah up in Lebanon threatening as well. You got Iran just rattling their sabers because they feel like they've got some power now. That's really the one to watch. What happens with Iran? Do they get involved? Any issues in the Straits of Hormuz? Any interruption in oil supply? That's what's going to really move oil big time one way or the other. If not, I expect oil to remain kind of in this downward to sideways trend. Might get a little bit of a pop. Who knows? I don't expect it to crater down into the 60s. I saw Janet Yellen saying we're going to move oil down to the 60s. Again, she has no magical powers. There's no way in hell that it's going down to 60. At least that's my opinion at this point in time. I think mid-70s, the 200 moving average around the mid-70s here. You've got the 200 moving average on the weekly around 70 as well. I think 70s is a good location for it. 80s is totally fine. We are going to continue to sell naked puts on oil until it proves otherwise. So any down sessions like through yesterday, I want to keep adding naked puts on oil. Gold continues to improve. Gold gapped up and has run. So a gap and run here on the daily chart. Pretty good V bounce on it. You had seen the MACD reversal coming. So MACD crossing positive yesterday and moving higher, breaking above that, the 50 on the RSI. We'll actually draw that line in as well. Okay, so let's just fix this one up quickly, but breaking above the 50 line, which gives me a really good, strong momentum looking move on gold overall here. So just breaking through it, not yesterday, but in the overnight sessions here. We'll see what happens, but PSAR reversal yesterday. I like gold here. We're also selling naked puts right now in gold. Does it mean that this downtrend is done and we're not going down anymore? No, this is a V bounce. Maybe it's a dead cat bounce. Look how oversold past the 3 ATR it was. I mean, it's just so ridiculously oversold. It had no choice to bounce. So we put in some naked puts on that, alerted the members on that. So nice trades going on. In fact, we've already closed those out for a winner as well. So we'll look on any other pullbacks here to get in. So nice, easy trade there. If we take a look at lean hogs, they've been dropping. We're out of this trade right now, but I think on this drop, we're going to keep an eye on what lean hogs are doing. Couldn't really muster anything on the RSI. MACD did try to improve and is rolling back over. Downtrend on the weekly. So lean hogs in a pretty decent downtrend. I really don't even know where to draw this line. There's so many big move candles here. I think we'll keep it right in here. I think this looks pretty decent. So we'll keep this, but as long as we're in this downtrend, we'll keep an eye on where it is. And I think if we get some freeing up of our buying power, which our buying power is absolutely dropping into a pretty good range right now. We did add some more trades yesterday, but anything lower here, lean hogs continue to sell off. I think we're going to jump into that. And then we are also in some copper futures, and we're in copper on a 112. That trade is up 20% in 3 days. So fantastic trade so far in copper, doing exactly what we want. And then I've been watching nat gas. I thought this move was overdone to the upside. MACD is rolling over. RSI might start to head down through overbought territory. It's early to tell. Weekly is strong, moving up here. So you've got a good weekly. You've got this 200 moving average on the weekly overhead. But on the daily, you're stacked 2150, 200. You're moving up. But we did get above the 3 ATR. Settling back in here. I think it's going to be a good year for nat gas, or a good winter. I think it's going to be a colder winter. Last year was a little bit more mild. So I really like what we're seeing on nat gas. And then bonds, we've already covered this in TLT. Moving back up to the 21 EMA on this move, we've already closed out naked puts that we sold on this. So we've made good money on this bounce. We've made more than everybody that was buying TLT way back in here on this downtrend. We've made more than they're going to make for another month or two. But any weakness currently in bonds, and we'll be looking to potentially add more naked puts on that. I expect TLT to kind of chill out a bit in here. We're watching bonds. Let's see what happens. I think it's still an opportunity to sell some naked puts on any weakness in here. I think that's a good opportunity. I'm not getting long, however, bonds quite yet. All right, so there's where we are. If we take a look at some of the sectors that we were in yesterday, XLK tech sector moved higher nicely. The XLY, which is your consumer discretionary, did move higher on the session. That's your Amazon, your Tesla. Communications moved higher. That's your Google and your Meta. Energy dropped yesterday, gapped down a bit on the session, gapped down pretty low, finished well off of its lows. We're going to keep an eye on energy here. I like where it's positioned. On this, we'll keep an eye on energy and see where it goes. But I like energy overall here, especially if oil remains decently strong. But you can see this previous pivot level that was on the weekly here, resistance, resistance. Okay, then we came over here, resistance, support. Okay, support, resistance, support. Okay, resistance, or I should say, support. Then not quite resistance here, support, support, and then maybe will it be resistance? I don't know. We'll see how energy behaves today, but I would expect with oil moving higher in the aftermarket that we will see energy moving today. I love the way it looks here. I like this pullback. I think that was really healthy for energy. We are still in this nice longer term uptrend piece in here. MACD moving higher. We just got to keep an eye on this RSI. I'd like to see RSI moving higher, and I think that's what we're going to get today as well. So I think we'll get that break of the 50 in today's session, which means I'm pretty bullish on energy here. I like the way it looks, especially, again, if you think that the stuff in the Middle East is going to keep oil elevated a bit. I think you got nat gas moving higher. I like energy in this space. So I think we move higher on energy, and I think this is a good opportunity trade to get into. Financials gapped up a bit yesterday, tailed off, and then closed higher. So good day on financials. Not a good day for consumer staples. So the XLP dropped significantly. This is at the bottom of its range, however. So I think this is something to keep an eye on. Okay, and see and watch. Yes, there's all kinds of stuff with the markets, and we got PPI or CPI coming out today. So I think that'll move the markets a bit. Potentially, we'll see what happens. Initial move is always wrong, and then we'll see what happens. But you got a bounce and a PSR reversal on consumer staples from an oversold RSI level. I do like it here. I think you have an opportunity to potentially be selling some puts there. So I'm not going to cover all the other sectors, but you get a sense of what it looks like. Quick look at the watch list here. Amazon, great day, as indicated by the fact that consumer discretionary was up. So you got Amazon was up nicely yesterday. You had Tesla down just fractionally on the session, but it looks decent. You had Apple with a decent up day. This continues to look strong. Microsoft with a decent up day, which continues to look pretty strong, breaking out. Here you have Meta continuing to move higher, and our Meta butterfly that we have on is in really, really good shape. We've tagged that at a 330, 340, 320 is our butterfly. So 330, I would expect that that's where we're going to probably open on the session on Thursday, which is dead center of our butterfly. So let's see. We might have gotten there too quickly. However, it's a nice 22% winner in 3 days already. So we pegged that Meta winner. Google looking good, as I mentioned. Both Meta and Google make up the communication ETF, and Google big up day yesterday. So Google is on fire. This has been an unreal great up move here. So we've been in good shape on those. And then AMD, a little bit of a break yesterday. It still had this break out of this falling wedge that we were in. I think we can probably move it closer to there. But this breakout of the falling wedge, it's all good. Let's see what happens. I expect a little break yesterday. Great. Maybe some better follow through on Thursday. Either way, this AMD, we did put credit spread on this, which is up 23% in 3 days as well. So AMD, Meta, two really good trades. So those are adding some income to our portfolio as everything else continues to work, even though that's not our main goal. But these spec trades are nice, giving us some nice cash. We finished the day yesterday with a delta of 261. Expect that to drop even more with a little bit more of a bounce and follow through on Thursday. So liking where we are on this delta. So 261, fantastic, 0.09%. That is extraordinarily delta neutral, which I really like. Slightly positive, which is fine in this atmosphere, but really delta neutral overall, which I think is pretty nice to see. You've got theta at 1258, so 0.42 theta, perfect theta. Netlick jumped up another couple of $1,000 yesterday, so 297. Which is the highest we've been in 2 weeks, getting back to our all-time high, which is just right around the corner here. BP usage dropped a little bit more on the session, down to 71.9, which is great. And then we had some realized gains, 188. That was just a spec trade on bonds. We just keep adding these spec trades on, but you can see these spec trades as we wait for the big strangles and 112 trades to hit. We've generated almost $2,000 just in spec trades alone, which is perfect. Every day, we're just going to win a little bit every day. We're just generating some cash every single day. We did have that one big loser on a strangle, so we'll be wiping that thing out shortly. And let's take a look at this 188. What was that trade? That was this ZB naked put. We put it on 10.9. We closed it on 10.11. 2 days in trade, 188 bucks. Again, just a small spec trade, 10% return on capital. You can size them as you feel. I sized pretty small on this, just looking for some additional cash while we waited. I'm not counting this on the day since this happened in the overnight session, but we did have a strangle on ES close overnight. We'll be talking about that in the next session for the 12th here. So this one technically will close on the 12th, but it did close while we were sleeping in the overnight session. So 1,125 bucks winner on the weekly strangle here. So we are in great shape, loving where we are. IRA, new all-time highs yet again. The IRA is just on fire. The small account doing extremely well as well. That was at new highs. So we're doing great. If you like this video, please click that like button, helps us a lot. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you're not a member in the Discord, go ahead and look in the description down below. You get a link to save some money on the first month down there, link to the Discord channel. Get in there, start making some money, start following us as we make you guys some money out there, and have a great rest of your day. Hope this was helpful. Enjoy a fantastic day and stay safe, everybody. Take care.